Welcome to this last lesson of our practical session. In this lesson, we're going to be covering can we create a custom classifier to accurately classify fake news versus factual news in our dataset. So before we jump into this, let's just refresh our memory on our data. So let's run data.head. We can see here we've got our text clean column that's been appropriately tokenized, lemmatized, converted into lowercase, stop words have been removed, so we're ready to move forward in creating our classification model. We want to create our X and Y variables to split into training and test data. We'll start by creating our X. This is going to be our clean text that we're then going to go forward and vectorize and give to our algorithm as its input. Our Y value is just going to be our fake or factual tag. Now let's move on to text vectorization. So we'll create our count vectorizer as we're going to be using the bag of words model to vectorize this text. Once we've initialized the count vectorizer, we can create countVec_fit and use countVec.fitTransform on our X dataset. We then want to create our bag of words as a pandas data frame. So we use pd.dataframe and we want to convert our countVec and convert it to array. The column names of our data frame can be obtained by using countVec.getFeatureNamesOut. So this will have successfully vectorized our text and it's ready to be split into training and test data. To do this, we want to create our xtrain, xtest, ytrain, and ytest. To split up our training data, we'll be using train test split. We want to split our bag of words dataset and our y vector. We also specify the text size to be 0.3, so 30% of the data is going to be going to our test dataset and won't be used for training. We want to start creating our classifier with just a simple logistic regression to see how this performs and use it as a baseline for other models we may want to try. So we create our LR and use the logistic regression function, and then we want to use .fit and reference our xtrain and ytrain. Our logistic regression model has now been created, and we want to use this to predict our test dataset and compare this to our actuals. So let's create ypred_lr and then use lr.predict on our x test. We can then use this to compute the accuracy score. So we'll be using the accuracy score function and comparing the accuracy between ypred_lr, the predicted labels from our logistic regression model, and comparing this to our actuals in ytest. You can see here we've got some really good accuracy at 96%. Let's dive into this a little bit further using the classification report. We can see here the model has done amazingly well at predicting fake and factual news. This model is perfectly fine on its own, the accuracy seems really good, but out of interest, let's just see what it would look like if we used an SVM, support vector machine. We create our model using the SGD classifier, and then we reference .fit and our xtrain and ytrain. As our model has now been created, let's again run our predictions using this new model. We create our ypred SVM and then use svm.predict on our test dataset. Again, let's have a look at the accuracy of this model and see if it's improved any more from our logistic regression. So we can see here this model has actually not performed as well as the logistic regression. This is why it's really important to try simple models first before moving to anything more complex. We print out this classification report again, and we can see here that it's done pretty well. The model has worked well, and it's giving us 90% accuracy across the board. However, the logistic regression has seemed to work better. So to answer the question, can we create a classifier that can classify different news as fake or factual? The answer is yes, and it seems to be quite a good problem for these algorithms. They seem to work with really good accuracy. So I hope you've enjoyed working through this practical lesson as we run through each step by step, with the same data and see what that process would look like as a full NLP project. You've now got a really good project to put in your portfolio and show off your new NLP skills.